Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in Death of the Dark Crusade Season 2. This scene, in particular, takes place just outside the walls of Odessa, yet still within its boundaries, within the western farmlands. Just outside of a nearby hamlet, there is a series of, very large farms. It's almost as if that was why it was called the Western Farmlands. Many acres of which are covered in many blooming plants, set to be harvested in a few months. However, this year has been a bit rough for the agricultural community. The last year gave something of a fairly mediocre harvest, hardly the worst. Isn't about to start a famine anytime soon. But the plague hit the farmers as much as it did any other parts of the city's populace, causing many to be sold off on the cheap to people who are inexperienced or incompetent, or to greedy merchants using their ownership of the land to extort those who wish to make a simple living providing food for the city. For others, it's a simple fact that there has been a rise in pestilence that has destroyed a fair portion of their crops. But to everybody, the thing that affects all of them, perhaps the most prominent of all these issues, is the Grain Merchants Guild. Virtually every farmer in the farmlands produces grain. And for every farmer, the cost of selling that grain has gone up, as the Grain Merchants Guild has begun to squeeze on what remains of its competent membership. All those, as a bit of a backdrop for, or a background for anybody doesn't know, if anyone wishes to sell grains within the boundaries of Odessa, they must be part of the Grain Merchants Guild. All guilds monitor business, and if you want to do business, you'll need the guild say so. So you either need to be a member of the guild or to pay your dues. Unfortunately, guild membership tends to be something of a bit of an exclusive thing, a way to further monetize and isolate competition of those who are not willing to do business. But they will still tolerate those who pay the fee, and that fee has been going up. It is proportionate to the amount of grain that one provides to the Grain Merchants Guild. And that cost has been going up. It is effectively a tariff on grain. And it is now squeezing these farmers dry. Someone, a young Assamite, and a recent visitor to the city, Al-Qadir, has heard of this issue. And has been looking for a solution perhaps to negotiate down with the Grain Merchants Guild, or to find a way to work around them, or perhaps to set up a rival organization, or to simply use the small folks' weight of numbers to perhaps put the merchants back in line as opposed to the other way around. But in order to create and organize a solution, one first needs to meet the people and get them on board. And for that, a fairly small yet still risky meeting council has been set up in one of the small, modest homes of one of the farmers to address these issues.
As he has. He waits at a proper meeting place that has been designated and simply washes the sky in amusement, waiting for um, either the person from the Grains Merchants Guild or one of the small folk that he spoke to earlier.
Um, did you do at this meeting? Would you um, do you have your small folk contact one of the reps of the Grain Merchants Guild, or at least the person who they do business with on a regular basis?
I would say the person that I have contact with, um, technically wouldn't necessarily be involved with that because he was more of a just his big thing that I had with him and with the community was he kind of just takes care of people. He's somewhat of a, you could say, like the den father of the community, the small person that helps keep keep spirits up, helps take care of children, does small medical things. That, but he does mainly farm. So I would say more or less he is aware of the merchant skills and he involves himself with it, but he's not directly involved, especially since I only have contact with one.
It's a major contact, so they'd know things. It doesn't really matter how many contacts you have in a specific area.
Okay.
You only need one major contact in each area to have a large, because they're contacts, they gather you information. That's their job. That's their purpose.
Uh, Alrighty then. And I wouldn't say it would be too far fetched to say that he would be able to establish a meeting place with a representative of the Merchant Guild so we can discuss, or the Grains Guild, discuss um, expectations, wants, and needs, and how maybe we can satisfy them at a reasonable price. As I represent the people around this area and concerns and grievances. And not only that, I have resources to help improve their way of living and hopefully, in return, improve the Merchants Guild's um, way of living. But we cannot verify such a thing unless we discuss it first.
Okay. They give you a time to meet them, unfortunately, it's during the day. It is,
I
however, a
had
couple of days
asked,
from
I
now,
will,
but it is during the day, not for night. There is a curfew, so they're not going to break the law,
uh,
or at least they don't want to be, hanged.
yes, correct. And if not, I'd ask them, I would say I would come to them if that'd be preferable. I have my ways, aka I am going to sneak around as best I can.
Is that what you tell them?
I um, especially since they're going to ask for me in the day, unless I send my ghoul there, and just gets him parrot what Kadir would say, or he would just remember what they said and said to him. Possibly.
Possibly. Possibly what? Sorry.
I said, if they're asking for meeting in the day, I said, unless I send my goal to parrot my concerns and give me back the information, I would need to figure out some way to do this at night if Kadir wants to do that face to face.
Is that just Al Qadir figuring it out, or does he they'll tell that to the merchant? Is what I'm saying.
What he'll tell to the merchant is he would prefer a meeting at night, and if it would be easier on him that Kadir show up to his place, would that be preferable to him?
They will insist on meeting during the day because
Yes,
they seem to be surprised that you
curfew.
seem to be advocating the breaking of martial law in writing.
Yeah.
They would
In that case, yes.
they will say that they have they would say you keep such words off the records for the safety of them both.
Yeah, and I would acknowledge that. So if they are adamant on the day, then yes, I would send my goal to him.
Oh, that will happen
Because
in 2 days.
obviously I can.
Google can be
Yeah.
here as well. So it'll just be the small focus shot to this meeting.
Okay. And so, as me and oh yeah, that was on my order sheet. What did I name? I'll look it up real quick because my goal, Asada, are then just simply waiting for the rest of the small folk to show up as we discuss our plan of attack.
Yep, a lot of quite a few farmers, not really farm hands, but actually the people who run the farms, usually fairly middle-aged men and some of their wives and sons and daughters show up. They kind of they sneak on in. They're very careful. They usually they as you kind of look outside is it becomes you begin to notice a pattern over the course of like an hour and a half that they seem to be sneaking through the fields rather than the roads so as to stay away from the guards. But you see when after about an hour and everybody's arrived, the last being perhaps one of your most significant allies in this particular matter, a farmer known as Haddad, who deals quite heavily in grain, as it turns out. Probably more so than any other farmer in the city. Um, you notice that not everyone is here.
That is understandable. What we're doing is not necessarily legal and not in everybody's best interest. So the ones who have either enough courage or enough gall to do so, I will accept their ears gladly,
How
and
do
I will
these
try to
people
keep
know you? Do
this.
they know you as Kadir?
They do know me as Al Qadir. I do not
Okay.
give them a false name. They just don't know me as Asamite of Al Qadir because they don't need to know that.
Um, yes, he. As he kind of enters the door and makes sure it's closed, he just says, "Assalamu alaikum, Kadir."
And he nods with a smile on his face. I'm glad as he looks to the people and him as well. I'm glad that you were able to arrive tonight. I know it can be dangerous.
You're having us take some bold risks for something as simple as a meeting. This couldn't have happened during the day.
No, I cannot. Unfortunately, due to my condition, and he looks a bit saddened on his face. Said, I have a weird case of some type of sleep sickness. My cycle is like that of the owl. I sleep the day, but I am awake at night.
But I have to be up at 5:30 in the morning.
Then
Like
I'll make sure to
one of
keep this
his friends.
brief.
In any case, we should get this meeting underway.
Oh, you were saying? Sorry. Hang has crashed on me.
Well, he says, in any case, we should get this meeting underway. I don't know where Najib and Kasim are, but they said they'd be here.
So we'll give them time. And he looks over to Asada and said, and Asada will be keeping track of our conversation.
Of course.
So the Grain Guild is putting pressure onto the farmlands. So they give an exact reasoning outside of supposedly just profits.
Simple truth is, they've lost a lot of customers with the plague. Prices for food have gone up, but they're not covering the loss. So they're putting up the tariffs on us as well. Thing is, they don't even want to buy as much from us. Which means we've got a lot of reserves, but we're losing a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have enough to get by for the rest of the year if this keeps up.
I see. And Kira's thinking about that because that seems a little odd. Like it makes sense. It's like a lot of the customers would have passed, unfortunately, due to the plague. But if if they're not gonna take more and they want to charge more, it's like that seems odd. It's in a sense that they just want their money, but they don't want the food. I was like, and part of me goes like, wouldn't you want more of the food to try to find more customers? Why just take their money and not and leave them with food to rot? That's even a bigger waste. But I guess as long as they get paid, that's what matters to them. Then Kadir will look up and say, "Do we have it? Like, do we know who unfortunately passed that were his previous customers?"
Don't know who in the guild does it. I don't think anyone here is a member.
I
They
see.
just pass that down the line to us.
And what about yourselves? You haven't had more requests for food? No new no new buyers?
Who's left to ask for it? About a third of the city fucking died. And not many people want to travel through a city that was just ravaged by plague and appears to be in a state of perpetual gang violence. less travelers,
I
there's
thought
less opportunity for us to pass our labors to other cities, which means we're more or less held hostage by the Merchants Guild. I say Green Merchants Guild.
most of the violence was contained in Riverside.
Are you joking?
Hmm.
Gangs are spreading
No, unfortunately,
outwards, infected the slums. I even see a few of them here now, seeing what they can. Might even be more profitable for us in the long time. Push out the guilds, move it along to the gangs. That's what a lot of us are considering, to be honest. We have to make ends meet. We're not going to have a choice eventually.
I understand that, but gangs are fickle, more so than the guilds. I would think we'd want a bit more stability.
Point is, demand is low, supply is up, and that extra supply has to go somewhere. Otherwise, we're just losing money on grain that's rotting in our storage houses.
Indeed. And
Not
that's
just
and now
grain.
Kadir's kind
The price of all food has gone up. It's pretty bad.
and Kadir's now just thinking of of this point in his mind. It's like, okay, like we could either get more buyers, we could try to jump ship and go to the gangs, we could try to convince the Merchants Guild maybe to back off, or we could try to fight off the gangs and maybe involve more travelers to come in or figure a way to get more travelers to come in. Kadir might have some ideas about preserving the food, but preserving the food doesn't change the problem. We're still not selling enough. Hmm. I may have some techniques to help preserve the food, but that won't solve our problems. As he starts speaking out loud, we
All
still
this
either.
extra food will help us later, but for the next year or two, we're not going to have any money. We're not going to be able to run our farms. Either we'll
Hmm.
need to either we need to find a way to make more money, or we're going to have to start selling off our farmland for those of us that even can. Some of the
And he looks over to Asada. It's like, he kind of gives him a look like, you keeping track of this, because he's gonna have to be my voice to the Merchants Guild to figure out what else they may want.
I don't know what they want. They don't seem to want anything from us other than our money.
It sounds like to me either they owe too much or they want too much. Either answer is not good for us. Mm.
Some of the bastards from the Venal Merchants Guild stole a lot of our land with the deaths of some of our own. There was no
Are they
next of kin
still
to
this?
pass it down to, so some of our land has already been handed over to
I see.
gluttonous pigs on desks.
So, out of character, they took it technically legally. So it wasn't just like, oh, we sent over some brigands and they just kept the spot.
Yeah, what he's saying is that the merchants didn't actually break the law, they just kind of abused it to gain more money and land.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, it'd be easier if they just physically took it. I could do something about that. Hmm. How's the weather been treating us in Odessa of late? Though I do have celestial attunements, I guess it kind of gives me an idea of the weather and the sky in
I
general.
think Celestial Human
But I
gives you
guess
allows you to tell the time.
it. I thought it does. I'll give you an idea of the time. Is obviously I can't say exactly like 6:23 because I don't think even 6:23 existed yet.
Yeah, you can estimate the position of the stars, but not the weather. Um,
Yeah.
so that's actually very useful for finding your direction as well. Um, have I guess that depends. Has El Kadir been using weather magic?
No, he has not. He has
Okay.
the only time he's ever used it is for confrontations. He has not used it to affect Odessa. He's not trying to be verbose with his magic when it comes to affecting the weather.
Seasonal weather hasn't been too bad. It's been dry, but there's been no drought.
Hmm. Do we have any possibly maybe some luxury things that may need specific conditions that we could possibly sell for a higher price? So he's asking for like if for some reason anybody had some exotic fruits or foods that they just never grew because they just don't have the conditions to do it.
Anything exotic comes along the Silk Road. It doesn't have a place here. That's the other part of the
Hmm.
problem. Merchants guilds of all kinds know they can just go outside the city for anything that we don't have, or anything that we might try and get. Simple fact is, if we want to buy it, merchants have more money than we do. They can just pay a higher price for it, lock us out.
And with that, Kadir will kind of focus on it. Do you know what they're buying? I might be able to help with that. If we can get some more exotic fruit um, items inside Odessa, they can may start focusing on us if we can sell it on a lower price.
Oh no, what he's saying is that what the merchants do to prevent the farmers from effectively competing with the merchants for this food.
Oh,
Um,
is they just leave?
no. What they do is that the merchants just offer a higher price to buy the more exotic wares than the farmers can give, because the merchants have more money, so they can just
Yeah.
effectively buy out the competition.
Okay. Okay. I was
It's
trying to
not
figure out
really
if
a
like if
matter of
it's
getting them to lower the price, because that's literally what the merchants are doing. The merchants are getting them to are forcing the price to go up to lock out
yeah. Okay.
peasant competition, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Commoner, not really peasant.
Okay. I was hoping to use that as a possible venue, because if it's like, oh, well, yeah, if we can grow these things, but we can't, it's like I might be able to help with that. But if they're just going fuck it, forget the middleman and just pay the extra whatever to get what they want, to also keep the middleman down. It's like can't really do that. We could maybe
Situations
slowly work
dire,
to get to
Kadir.
that point.
Pardon you say the situation's dire, Kadir. A lot of us are looking at losing our homes. With this curfew, the raised prices, we're stuck in a cage. None
Yes.
of us know what to do.
And Kadir is thinking because he's not sure what else he could really do. Well, there's stuff he knows that he could do. It's just more or less he wants to be quiet about. He doesn't want to create big waves. And unfortunately, since it is so dire, that may be inescapable.
If you think you can get the grain merchants to reduce their prices, go ahead and do it. But I don't know what will convince them.
I don't even know what they want. That's the problem. I don't even know.
What could they want? They're grain merchants. They want money for our grain. They've lost money from all the dead bastards that used to be their customers.
Yeah,
So they're
they
just
have been
pushing up
trying to look
prices
for more.
everywhere. But they can't keep pushing up prices for sale because otherwise nobody will be able to afford it. But I have no doubt they're exploiting us.
Indeed.
They have more than enough money. to make themselves comfortable.
And that's what I'm curious about. Is it
Like
purely just
every other
greed, or
wolf, they're
maybe there's
just looking
something
for a
else?
fucking excuse.
Uh, as I understand your frustration, that's still unfortunately conjecture. I wouldn't doubt that. It's like I wouldn't doubt that they would do it, but I'm very sure not every single person at the guild has that same mindset.
No, just most of them.
But
Doesn't
I hear
change
the
the fact that they've
guilds.
made money off of killing our farmlands.
And
And they're
doesn't.
now looking to make money off of plague victims.
And they keep their group very exclusive. I need more information. I can't. We can't make a proper move to make sure that we can keep our that you can keep your land and feed your family without doing something too drastic. And I don't want to create any further blood in the city if we don't have to.
Only solution I see is giving money to the gangs. Sorry, not giving money, giving grain to the gangs. Won't make us as much money as if we were to sell it legally, but at least we'll have money.
But how long is that going to last, and how long will they start demanding more from you as well?
Depends on how long the gangs
That's not,
last. Looks like they've made themselves at home in Riverside in the slums. Should be good for a few decades at least.
and if they grow, then we'll just cut off more people from outside coming into Odessa. I would rather lower their influence so we can get more trade within the city, but I'm no sheriff.
The trade is only benefiting the merchants. I don't really care. They've locked us out. They made sure of that.
What do we know about these gangs? Is there anyone that are reasonable?
Most gangs just want to make money. We offer them grain at a discount, they'll take it, and they know how to be discreet. It wouldn't be in their interest to out us.
And he nods to that. That is true. Yep. He is aware that. Like I said, he wouldn't want to do that.
I just don't see an out for us. The aristocracy's caged us. The merchants extort us. Don't see how a gang could be any worse at this point. At least if they're going to extort us, they'd at least be honest about it.
Going further down, oh, going further down the road of despair does not make the road any easier. Trust me on this.
Yeah, well, I need the road to feed my family. We all do. Like how Crown agrees with this. They don't like. They're not hostile to you or anything. They're not like. It's just
No, it's a
like they
matter of
just.
fact. Like,
Yeah,
this is bad.
it's just like
This
it's
is
really bad, and we need to feed our families. Like they said, like if you think you can get them to back off, then do it. But yeah,
yeah, but
like they
and
don't
he's willing to
clearly not.
try. But the thing is, they want to do it. They want to do this shit in the day. It's like I can't move. I can't personally move in the day. Like I have to send a proxy, and that's not. And that made it look bad upon myself if I sent a proxy.
It would.
And they're not willing to. And they're not willing for me to put any risk because they don't want it on record. It's like they're being merchants. They're worried about themselves and they're being very cautious. So the only thing would be is to show up there uninvited, which would look even worse, but at least I would be there.
Let's say this is girls want money. You hit them in their pockets and they'll back off.
I'm not going to try to be heavy armed them. I only think I have the resource to do that.
What did you think I was going to propose? Burn the guild hall down? No. You were talking about trade earlier with people outside the city. There is the township of Timorin, and there's Haran to the south. We could see what we could see. We could see if we could strike a few deals with some caravanners, but I don't know. Merchants Guild might try and shut it down. A
Well,
lot
we'll
of
make sure that
caravanners have
doesn't
ties to
happen.
them in some form or another. They pay them good money.
Oh, and Kadir will kind of think about this for a moment. But there may be ways to make it more inclined that they will not work against us. I know some people who have very good horses and very efficient and very effective caravans. They can I've seen them lessen travel by almost half a day with their skills. If we can prove that we can get trade in quickly in and out of the city, they may appreciate that.
Maybe if we start selling outside, the guilds can't say no to that. Their authority only extends as far as Odessa.
Hmm.
Then they'll look at offering us a better price because they got competition they can't directly kill.
Yeah, and Kadir is focusing on this aspect because he does
You
have
wanna
somebody
roll
that
me
could help with that.
you wanna roll me intelligence commerce?
Yes. Which dice roller?
Let me check. Um dice roll a one.
Already.
You can also make me an intelligence seneschal roll after this as well.
Okay.
Okay, so you failed a commerce check.
The seneschal roll.
Wow, and you failed that as
Um.
well.
Yeah. Ooh,
Wow,
man.
that's really
This,
unlucky.
this dice roller never ends to screw me over.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what I play.
that's actually really unlucky. I apologize. Yeah, you're not really sure how much money this could make, if it could make money at all. You do know that obviously employing caravans is going to cost money, unless you could at least get money flowing throughout the community if you at least get if you effectively get some of the community to change profession and become professional caravanners, but even that, it creates a cycle of money for the community, but it's still like you don't know how much. You know, you're putting in an additional middleman. The other towns will inevitably have guilds of their own, probably with ties of the guilds to Odessa. You don't know. You don't know how to really optimize this or maximize efficiency.
Hmm.
The only solution you can see really is maximizing yield on the crops, so at least you could get as much grain as possible. So even if the tariffs are
I ha-
heavy, you're selling enough that you can make money.
well, that's
Like
the
you just
thing. They already stated that they don't have enough buyers. It's not that they don't have enough. They don't have enough buyers.
yeah, they just don't have yeah, but even that, yeah, it's Unless you could maximize the
That's,
quality of the grain and prove that.
I can
That's
possibly
yeah. It's you're
try.
running into a
That's
lot of dead ends with your line of thinking right now.
yeah. Because the idea I was thinking of, if we can prove to the guilds, or more or less, if we're able to travel out city and travel outside the city in a highly efficient rate, this might be able to overcome this because I don't have the capability, but I do have a friend that I could owe something to that could make their travel absolutely Godspeed almost in a sense, or just extremely efficient and lack of strain, allow them to move in and out of the city for trade. But I'd have to talk to him, see if he'd be able to do it, or be willing to do that. And I also want to get the merchants' perspective on things too, as well, so I could figure out more potential answers. I'm only seeing one side right now. That's the biggest problem.
Hmm.
Is I understand the farmers' plight and their frustration, but if I only listen to them, I don't know all the in and outs of the Merchants Guild, so I don't know that, yeah, maybe 40% of those people are just greedy, grubbing bastards, but the 60% are like, hey, we actually have like a lot of money owed because we've made sacrifices for the Farmers Guild that we just don't tell them about. Or, something bad happened to us and we need the money, or we can't, pay for our things either. So that's the big thing. I don't know what the merchant guilds want. I don't know their pains. I don't know their wants. So I
Okay.
can't make a truly beneficial thing because the guild are still people too. That's always the downside of being at the bottom of the totem pole. Just because people are on top doesn't mean they weren't at your position before either.
Not
So could
anymore,
you
then.
definitely say
Not
that?
the scumbags. Revolt. Um, but yeah.
It would, yeah.
So
So
what do you
Kadir
say
will
to
then
the
present.
merchants?
I will say to them. I'll say to the small folk that allow me some time to speak with the Merchants Guild, and allow me some time to speak with a friend of mine, so we could possibly, that might be a possibility for us to get trade in and out of Odessa through either the north or the south. But I need more information. I need more time. But I'll be as quick as possible. I will not allow a moment to go by without working on this project.
All right, all right. We'll leave this to you. You've always done right by us. Just keep an eye out and be careful of the soldiers out there.
I will do the
Night's
best
not
that I can.
friendly.
But I've kept you people here long enough. Do please be safe as you get travel back to your homes. Me and Asada must discuss.
Yeah, careful out there. Hear things, people. Stuff happens at night.
Indeed.
Just a bonfire hit the Arab slums a few nights ago.
A bonfire hit the Eric slums? Is that
Mm,
what I'm hearing?
burnt down. Almost said burned down an entire neighborhood before the guards were able to put it out.
Hmm.
Then you got talk of wolfmen off in the hills, strange beasts wander in the forest, weird things as shadows. Swear to, swear to God, sometimes I'm jumping at my own shadow. But yeah, take care of yourself.
You as well.
And everyone will go to take the
And
leave. We'll say
as
farewell and all that.
yes, as everybody is beginning to leave, Kadir will kind of he'll oh he doesn't need to he'll just release a heavy sigh because this was not as he was not expecting this to be so tight because he has options but he doesn't there are a lot of ones he doesn't want to do because he's like I don't want to get in a war with a gang I don't have that kind of resources I don't even know and there's no telling that there's not a K Knight involved with the gangs themselves as well so I don't want to put anything bad in court because I mess up some Rouge or gang girl who are controlling the human gangs. Don't want to trade with the gangs, or at least be involved with the trade of the gangs, because that contradicts my road. Said, and he also doesn't want to make a move without the merchant guild's input because he doesn't feel that'd be proper. That would be proper without getting their input. Because if they definitely are just being greedy, like yeah, they have the right to be greedy, but there are consequences to that.
Well, I think as Kadir muses on this, as well we'll end our scene with a slight addendum. Unfortunately, a rather somber one, as it turns out that Najib and Kasim have both attempted to make it to the meeting this night. Now Kadir will hear from Haddad the following night that unfortunately they were caught by the military for breaking the curfew and are set to be lashed and fined several days later. Publicly to make an example to all those in the farmlands in the surrounding hamlets. Not to cross the law. That is where our scene will end. On the frustrated thought process of a young Assamite and the costs of even a simple meeting at night. Thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you all next time.